This healthy vegan power bowl features kale, quinoa, shaved roasted Brussels sprouts, roasted asparagus, toasted walnuts, green apples, and pumpkin seed tofu bacon bits, all tossed in a sweet and oil-free maple mustard dressing and served with a side of Chipotle lime sweet potato wedges. To make one serving of this power bowl, you want to clean 3 asparagus and 4 Brussels sprouts. I cut the ends off of the Brussels sprouts and then I removed some of the outer leaves of the Brussels sprouts, just the ones that looked a bit bruised or dirty. I then cut the Brussels sprouts into thinly shaved slices. I then set those shavings aside in a bowl. I then diced the asparagus and put that aside as well. To make a glaze for the Brussels sprouts, I used 1 teaspoon of balsamic vinegar, 1 teaspoon of maple syrup, 1 teaspoon of Dijon mustard, and 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder. I then whisked all of those ingredients together and I added it to the Brussels sprout shavings and stirred that in to combine, and then added some salt and pepper as well. I then lined a baking tray with parchment paper and I put the Brussels sprout shavings on half of the tray and I spread it out into an even layer so that they all cooked evenly. I then washed and scrubbed 1 sweet potato and I cut off the ends and any spots such as eyes that I could see. And I then cut the sweet potato into wedges and smaller pieces. I then placed the sweet potato into a bowl. I then squeezed the juice of 1 lime over the sweet potatoes. Remember, this is an oil-free recipe, so I'm using the lime juice both as flavor and also as a substitute for oil to allow the spices to adhere to the potatoes when baking. I then also added about 1 teaspoon of maple syrup and a dash of ground chipotle pepper. This is quite spicy, so if you don't want to use this, you can use smoked paprika. Then I added some black pepper and salt, and I mixed everything together with my hands so that the potatoes were well coated. I then added the sweet potatoes to the other half of the baking tray containing the Brussels sprout shavings, and I also spread out the potatoes evenly. I then put this tray in a 425-degree oven to bake for about 20 to 25 minutes. Stir both halfway so that they cook evenly. I then squeezed half of a lemon onto the cut asparagus. I then seasoned them with a bit of salt and pepper. I lined a second baking tray with parchment paper and I spread the asparagus on half of that baking tray. I added a 1/4 cup of walnuts to the other half of that tray. Then I baked the walnuts and the asparagus in the 425-degree oven for 5 minutes. I then cleaned 1 green apple and then I cut it into small bite-sized pieces. To a medium-sized bowl, I added 2 cups of washed and dried baby kale. Then to the kale, I added 1/2 cup of cooked quinoa. I also added the sliced green apples. Then to make the dressing for the bowl, I added about 1 tablespoon of maple syrup to a small bowl, and then I added about 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, and then I added about 1 teaspoon of Dijon mustard. I also added some cracked black pepper and some salt. I then added a bit of water to thin out the dressing, and I whisked everything to combine. I had some slabs of pumpkin seed tofu bacon on hand, and I cut those up to make bacon bits. I'll leave a link in the description to a video where I make this pumpkin seed tofu bacon, and I'll also include that at the end of this video. Then to the bowl with the quinoa, kale, and apples, I added the toasted walnuts and roasted asparagus. I then added the crispy baked Brussels sprout slices. Then I poured the maple mustard dressing over all of the ingredients, and I tossed the contents of the bowl to get everything evenly coated with that delicious dressing. After plating the ingredients, I topped them with the pumpkin seed tofu bacon bits. This bowl and its side of sweet potato fries are not only wonderful combinations of textures and flavors, but they're nutritional powerhouses together. There's a good amount of healthy fats and protein, and there's also a good amount of antioxidants and fiber as well. Let me know in the comments if you make this vegan power bowl and side of Chipotle lime sweet potato fries. And also check out this next video because it does show you how to make the pumpkin seed tofu bacon. It's the puppy bowl video. And there's some other good recipes in there to make for parties and for sports events.